I hope that's not work you've brought me. Because I'm trying to enjoy my day off. You're the one who insisted. And wasn't it also agreed that I would do everything myself today? I know you've had your position for quite a while now, and you're assisting work for much less time, but the only things you need to do nowadays are making my coffee and cooking dinner. Do you want to help me that much? Taking a break from the books, huh? Let's see what you have then. So, what were you looking into, exactly? Ah, you're looking at my newest case. Mr. Finch. Okay. I did a brief overview, and it looks like another inheritance problem. You've done quite the extensive research on his connections, and their connections. Children, grandchildren, parent, work associates, close friend group. You even added in previous and ongoing contractors. Thorough indeed. If his suspicions are correct, then one or multiple people on this chart are plotting to take his life and his fortune. In situations like these, it's highly likely someone in the immediate family for whatever reason. Greed is a powerful motivator, but so is desperation. It's my job, well, our job, to figure out the motive. I haven't dived deep into his life just yet, so do you have any initial thoughts? Let's see, the estranged youngest daughter has a 2-year-old son with a very unfortunate medical condition. He stated quite clearly that if he should die, she wouldn't be entitled to any of it, so the motive is there, but the means are not. True. The photos are telling. The siblings all seem to have a very close relationship, all involved in the grandson's life. Love is also a powerful motivator. You've made a solid foundation. Now build on your leads and rule out the dead ends. But you can do that tomorrow. For now, sit down next to me. You don't like the water? I can tell from your face. Can't you swim? Nothing. I just learned something new about you. Maybe one day I can teach you how to swim. The shallow end is over there, so it's easy enough. Some people are born to teach. I am not. I don't have the patience, but I wouldn't mind teaching you. I'm sure you'll do fine. More than fine, actually. You learn things quickly. The house hasn't looked this good since my mother was alive. Yes, it's exactly the same. I haven't bought any new furniture or items. I can't bring myself to. Because changing it means things will no longer be the same. And I know that there's no going back, but it lets me preserve my memories for just a little longer. To me, it's like they still live here. It'll look the same as they remember it. This is mine. The only new addition is you, though you're not an item to be put on display. I don't know what I would get. Maybe a new vase. Or something to replace it, at least. You could maybe think of something. Yeah, I don't mind if you leave your mark. It'll be nice to have that kind of reminder after you leave. This is a family home. It's supposed to be filled with warmth and laughter and life. Without that, it's just bones. Hollow. I could never sell this. My grandfather bought this with the money he made from his career. It would feel like I just see it as profit. He wanted it to be one of those houses passed down to each generation. So after him, it would belong to my father, then to me. And if I were to have kids, I'd give it to them. I don't think I could be a father. After what my grandfather went through, it's too risky. Knowledge is power, yes, but people are threatened by that power because they don't know what you'll do with it. And I don't think I could live every day wondering if this is it, if the moment we leave to go somewhere, we die. If they go to school, will they come back? If they play with friends, will they all get hurt? And that includes the people around us. Housekeepers, drivers, the mailman. I don't want them to live life constantly in fear of who to trust. My grandfather found that out the hard way. No, not with my parents. With me. That's how I got this. After what happened in the garden, no one was looking after the house anymore. So my grandfather hired a housekeeper from this established company. They'd been working for several years with some affluent clients, and he'd been recommended them by someone he knew. He wanted me to focus on my studies, so it made sense to have someone to help around the house. She was here for almost 2 years, I think. She was nice, and it felt genuine. She lived with us to make it easier on everyone, so she was kind of like a nanny. She would suggest watching movies or television shows when my grandfather was busy in his study and wouldn't come out for hours at a time. It wasn't uncommon for me to not see him for a couple of days at least. So when that happened, she would be there. But then, one day she took advantage of my trust. She waited until I had my guard down completely. I confided in her, spent time with her, and then, when I was eating in the kitchen, she stabbed me in the abdomen, right here. We both thought that my grandfather was in his study, but he was about to go upstairs when it happened. I'd dropped my plate, and it smashed, so he came running, and she escaped through the garden while I was lying there with a knife still in me. I had to go to the hospital, but he made sure I was well protected. She was captured soon after. With my grandfather's connections, it would have been more surprising if she wasn't found. I don't know the details. He never told me, but he reassured me that she wouldn't be able to hurt me anymore. She most likely died, yes. I think after that, he became paranoid. And I think he realized that no matter what, I would always be in danger, so I might as well learn his work and learn how to make allies and all that. College was the big test. He didn't want me to go, but I needed the experience. After my parents, I was sheltered in this house. I barely went out for 6 years. I knew that if I didn't face the world then, I never would, so I went to England. It was good. Really good. For the first time, I got to meet people from all over the world, studying different things. No one knew who I was, who my parents were, what grandfather did. It was almost like I had a completely new identity. I could be myself. And I met many like-minded people. There is one person I remember the most. He's a genius. He was learning college-level material a couple of years before he actually went, so he was already way ahead of his classmates. and he absorbed information like no one I'd ever seen. He told me how he'd recall things by making a place in his mind and then filling it with visualizations of what he'd learned. So whenever he needed to remember something, he'd go into his mind palace and find the information. He's incredible. He was on a different course, but we met at a literature club. I wasn't used to the party crowd, and neither was he, so we hung out after and became friends. Then later we became something more. No, I know I said that I've only done flings. I tell that to everyone. Because if I say I was actually in love with this man, and if the wrong person heard, they'd have leverage. And I can't risk that. I can't. We broke it off after I finished. I told him I'd received an offer from a renowned law firm and had to move back home. And he understood. He told me to go, and we ended the relationship. He still wanted to keep in touch, but I never did. Because it was all a lie, me getting an offer. In reality, my grandfather was dying, so I had to go back and continue his work. He needed to sort out all of his affairs, his connections. He passed the mantle to me, and I've held it ever since. If my grandfather wasn't dying, I think I might have stayed for a little longer. I didn't want to leave. I really didn't. But a part of me always knew that it wasn't going to last. He had his own career to think of, and I knew it was only a matter of time before I became a PI myself, so it was better sooner than later. It would have been painful either way. He's a professor now, though I'm not surprised in the slightest. He has a partner now, too. I check up on him every now and then, see if he's doing okay. But he doesn't know what I do, so he won't know any better. I don't think I'd be able to tell him that. I think it's best for it to be kept a secret. He's living his life, which is all I could wish for. Hero in the shadow indeed. So, how do you find being my assistant? Yes, I'd expect it to be a welcome change to your usual routine, though it's not as fancy as how movies portray it. There are seldom any aha moments. A lot of it relies on patience and tenacity, which I think suits you well. I've been observing you since the moment we met. As much as I can learn things from a piece of paper, studying someone myself is essential. I see the way you work, the way you handle yourself. I see your compassion. And through the conversations we've had, I've noticed the way you look at the world. It's been tainted by the people who've hurt you, taken advantage of you. I think I could say with a reasonable assumption that you like it here. You have stability, food, resources. Your entertainment is limited due to your restrictions, but you pay no rent. You are a housekeeper, and you've done your job well. Did I assume correctly? I like to think I'm good at my job. Having you here has been a nice change. Since my grandfather died, I've spent my life living alone, my head buried in research. I don't talk to people other than my informants, and that's only work-related. I don't go out to dinners, don't go out to the movies. I don't have the time to enjoy civilian activities. So with you here, I can talk. There's another presence. I thought about getting an animal to take care of. Probably a cat, because they're mostly independent and I don't have to take it out for walks. You can have them as indoor pets too, so that would suit my lifestyle. Technically, you're my pet. You look after yourself, you don't need my company all the time. But if you need something, you always know where to find me. I don't think of you as a pet, even if I tease you about it. I don't think of you as a friend either. I don't know. This isn't a usual relationship. I've made sure not to get close to anyone. For anything. Caring for people can be a double-edged sword. On one hand, they become your weakness and a target to people who want to hurt you. On the other hand, they become your strength when you need guidance or need something to fight for. I do care for you. More than I think I should. I tell myself not to get closer. I can't go through that again. Yes, I'd rather lock my heart away than get it broken again. I might appear like I can deal with that, but when something gets broken too many times, it's impossible to piece it back together. Losing my parents the way I did, and then my grandfather, knowing what he had to bear alone. I'm still trying to mend from it all, even now. I told you before, right, that my parents were killed because of him? It is a fact. They died because of what he knew. If I didn't trust you, I wouldn't be here exposing the intricacies of my family. He's worked for many high-profile clients. Too many to count, actually. He was always loyal to the people who hired him, and if there were any conflicts of interest, he had a way of easing that tension with an unbiased view. He didn't succumb to the highest bidder or let money sway his decisions. He was firm and thorough. Because of that, he was recommended to others, and that included people who are normally hard to contact. Nobility, royalty, that kind of status and power. One of them was a man named Asarel. He's a part of this top-secret organization that controls a lot of the world. People who do it behind closed doors. And he was suspicious of someone called Samuel Kennedy in that organization, and my grandfather was tasked to look into him. You don't have to worry about knowing the name. Samuel's dead. Oh, my grandfather found something. But he didn't realize that the door he opened was meant to stay shut. Sometimes it happens in this line of work. You research and then you stumble upon something you'd never considered before. But this was completely different. Samuel was a part of this cult. It's hard to describe. Not that it's difficult, but when my grandfather first told me, I thought he was crazy. But he has the evidence, and I can't refute it at all, no matter how much I wanted to. This organization hunts things. Creatures that only exist in nightmares. I'm being deadly serious. I never thought they were real. It doesn't make sense. But my grandfather found this different world that exists alongside ours. And it's not something you broadcast. You want to see? Okay. It's not something I can tell you. In all his time working, he uncovered something unlike anything he could have ever imagined. Even now, I haven't come close to this. It makes you realize how many other people work in the shadows like me. How many have the real authority to make change just the way they want it. You don't know them, don't hear them. They're like smoke. You really think that people who run the world don't have hidden agendas? You have first-hand experience of exploitation and manipulation. Some people might have pure means, but the rest prioritize their self-interests and their ambitions. Seldom the community. You didn't think I'd have a false panel? This kind of information can't sit in a cabinet. He made sure to keep it hidden away, and so have I. So don't even think about trying to get into this, because you'll need my thumbprint and a code for it to open. Yes, there's a password to access this too. This can't fall into the wrong hands. If I type the wrong password enough times, it erases itself. Drastic measures are needed sometimes. Okay, so my grandfather found a way to infiltrate the Trimidian. His informant wore a camera on his shirt at all times. It was a button on his breast pocket, so he documented days worth of footage. He also managed to copy parts of their security system, and this is one of the many things that he found. You might want to sit down. It's hard to process, isn't it? That is a werewolf. I know. I thought I was having a bad dream when I saw this for the first time, but I don't have the imagination to come up with what I've seen. This is just one of many. My grandfather told Asriel about this, and soon after, Samuel was expelled from their corporation. Somehow another group found out that my grandfather had that data, and they wanted it for what he assumed to be weaponization. So they gave him an ultimatum. Hand over the information or suffer the consequences. And he didn't hand it over. It can't be public knowledge. Think of the chaos it would cause. The general population might already know about these creatures, but they're mythical, fantastical. There's no clear evidence of them ever existing. Lore from hundreds of years ago make it historic, and the media glorifies them with teen rom-coms and the like. They're legends, not defined by anything real. So I understand why he didn't say anything. He couldn't. If those creatures found themselves under the thumb of corporations wanting to take out people against them, what do you think that would do? If I had the same choice to make, it would probably be the hardest decision of my life. Even now, I'm torn between exposing this and keeping it a secret. But by doing nothing, I'm just like the rest of them, hiding this dangerous world in the dark. After everything that happened, my grandfather was obsessed with finding anything about this group. He exhausted all of his contacts, but he managed to find the evidence he needed that would ruin them. Human trafficking, locations of illegal weapon supply caches, even their hierarchy. So they both came to an agreement. He wouldn't expose them, and they wouldn't harm us. And if anything did happen, someone would leak the information. Yes, he was thorough. But I didn't know how much until he was on his deathbed. And he told me to reiterate what he said to them so they didn't think they could push their luck with me. I did. And they haven't done anything. But I've kept an eye on them. Yes, I've been keeping eyes on a lot of people. It's a lot of work, but I'll never run out of it. You don't need morals to do what I do. It's probably better if you barely have any because they can get in the way of doing what feels right. I have the privilege of knowing things a lot of people don't. And one has to be responsible of that. You're right, there is some appeal to it. Would you want to do it? Well, you're already my assistant. I'm not looking for a protege right now, but I guess we'll see. I won't lie, it's been nice having an assistant. My mind is less scattered, and I get work done quicker. You know you're more than just an assistant to me. More than just a housekeeper. You've been here for almost 3 months, and in that time, I think I've seen a glimpse of who you are. And my judgment is that you're a misguided but genuine person trying to find their home, their place in the world. You have a kind heart, and you took to this lifestyle very well, without complaining. Trust is being built. You're probably the ideal person to have under my employ because you didn't know who I was. You knew nothing, and still don't know the majority of it. And that means that you weren't bribed to be here. The only connection you had to me was being a pawn to do damage to the Wraiths, a gang I'm looking into. That's it. You're a puzzle piece I don't have to worry about too much, which is how I prefer it. You're more than a puzzle piece too. You're beginning to mean something to me. I make sure not to attach myself to anyone. But if it does happen, it means that person really is something special. You are special. I can't quite put my finger on why, but you are. Forgive me, I should have asked first before, I didn't want to assume you wanted me to kiss you, but thank you for clarifying. Yes, it was nice. Why don't you, put your research away? If I'm having a day off, you are too. Put it in the drawer I allocated for you. Of course you won't be in here without my presence, but I think you deserve your own section. I want to see how you do with this case. So far, you've impressed me. Yes, you seem to be doing that a lot. I need to have a shower, but you're free to watch TV or whatever you'd like to do. You really want me to join you? I can't remember the last time I've actually sat down to watch something. Okay, then I'll, meet you in the living room. Don't worry, I won't bring my laptop and I'll keep my phone on silent. No, vibrate, just in case. One step at a time. Go on, I won't be long.